Violent tornado, violent. Just took out a semi-truck.
We're seeing so much damage still in the Fort Pierce area. To my left, this big rig was toppled on its side by those strong winds from the tornadoes we saw throughout the area. You can see that front wheel right here to my left. On the other side of the road, another semi also in similar condition. We're also hearing from officials that more than 100 homes were damaged in this area. First Helene and then Milton. Floridians dealt a 1-2 punch by major hurricanes, now trying to pick up the pieces.
Families today across the state of Florida are waking up and figuring out how they're going to start to take those steps onto the long road to recovery.
A once-in-a-thousand-year rain event flooding homes in areas that weren't expected to flood.
It was terrible. The water was so cold.
The chairs were just floating, couches were floating, everything was floating.
The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office evacuating residents still trapped by high floodwaters Friday. On the West Coast in Clearwater, entire lives upended by flooding in a non-evacuation zone.
These are folks who didn't have much and they've lost everything.
While on the East Coast,
it was like a train just coming through.
Communities flattened by an unprecedented rash of tornadoes.
Never have I experienced damage or the amount of tornadoes that came through this area.
Authorities say the death toll is expected to rise as search, rescue, and recovery efforts continue.
We're now in the period where you have fatalities that are preventable. We have had fatalities because of interaction with downed power lines and water. We are seeing hazards that are still there.
Floridians now bracing for the long journey ahead.
Everything I had there is no good. Thank God I have flood insurance, but it's going to be a long time before we can come back as it was.
At least one tornado struck in a retirement community comprised of mainly modular homes. We're told by the Sheriff's Office that search, rescue, and recovery efforts are ongoing. In Fort Pierce, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Double destruction in the Sunshine State.
I think the complicating factor here is going to be there's two storms.
Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida as a deadly Category 4 hurricane, carving a 500-mile path of destruction across 6 states. Then Milton hit as a Category 3 storm, bringing tornadoes, torrential rain, and storm surge.
And having 2 major hurricanes in less than 3 weeks has really decimated our downtown area.
In Valrico, Hillsborough County deputies are still evacuating people from flooded homes.
We're 6 feet deep. We have some people who believe that it might get as high as 20 feet.
In Pinellas County, hundreds remain in shelters, some who've been there for weeks.
We have over 170 people that have actually been in shelters with us since Hurricane Helene.
The rescues and relief pouring in.
Our available force represents the largest National Guard response in Florida.
We have an additional $50 million on top of what we did for Hurricane Helene.
FEMA says people will need to apply for separate hurricane relief for each storm.
We're just going to have to continue to work with each person as they're working through understanding what they experienced from Helene, what they experienced from Milton, so they can get everything that they're eligible for.
While victims assess the damage left behind, moments of hope and resilience begin to emerge.
We had a beautiful baby girl that was born in one of our shelters. Our shelter staff helped with the delivery.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Hurricane Milton making landfall near Siesta Key Wednesday night as a major Category 3 storm with catastrophic force.
I've lived here all my life. I've never seen anything like this.
A once-in-a-thousand-year rain event transforming streets into rushing rivers.
Just with the hurricane and the water, it just kept rising, and I've been here 14 years and I've never seen it get as high.
Gusting winds, downing trees, blowing transformers, and leaving millions in the dark.
We have widespread power outages, cellular outages throughout the city. We have trees down, debris in the street.
The roof of Tropicana Field, home to the Tampa Bay Rays, ripped open. The storm spawning dozens of tornadoes, including several in Port St. Lucie County, which damaged homes and which officials say proved deadly.
Their whole homes with them inside were lifted up, moved, destroyed. I mean, everything in this hurricane's or this tornado's path is gone.
Search and rescue operations are underway across the impacted areas.
These aren't people who didn't heed the warning. These are individuals in areas where we've never seen flooding. Never seen flooding.
As Milton moves out into the Atlantic, officials now preparing to assess the damage. Grateful the monster storm wasn't worse.
What we can say is the storm was significant, but thankfully this was not the worst case scenario.
In Orlando, I'm Brian Abel reporting.
This is where I started. This is where I fell in love with this community. I've never seen flooding like this. We had people that evacuated here to make sure they were safe. They listened. They came here. 135 elderly disabled individuals that we rescued earlier. They came here. They were evacuated from Bradenton to stay safe. This is a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot. They have very little. And the very little they had, they've lost everything. We have water 4 feet up into their first floor here. This is a heavily Latino community. Their church is gone. Their cars are gone. Again, they don't live paycheck to paycheck. These are people that live day to day, and they have nothing.
I can tell because I've known you for many years. You're getting choked up right now. What are you going through?
Your heart shatters for these people.
And again, Boris, these are not people who ignored evacuation orders. This is not an evacuation zone. They were doing everything right. And in that assisted living community, people came from Bradenton, that's in Manatee County, to shelter there, and then they had to go through that. So look up here how high the waters are. You can see on the second floor, folks, they're okay. I've been waving them and giving them a thumbs up. They're okay for now, but again, so complex to get out of here without some help or really almost getting to the point of swimming in these portions that are so deep. Boris.